Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Happy Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, and I have a jam-packed video for you. First, let me say thank you very much to all of you that joined in on our live stream yesterday, and for those of you that didn't, because you see that I spent about an hour and 15 or 20 minutes, however long that live stream was, and you don't want to go through that entire hour and 20 minutes just because you don't have the time. Go check it out. I put chapters on it so that you can check out the meat and potatoes of that live stream, because there was a very, in my opinion, good segment on global warming and climate change. But today we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things. And the first thing, ladies and gentlemen, is, are you preparing for a societal collapse? It's happened throughout history numerous times. It's on a cycle, in my opinion, and we are in the middle of it, if not getting towards the end. So how do I prepare, AP, for a societal collapse? Well, first, let's see what they have to say about this, and I actually have an answer as to how we prepared. We covered it in yesterday's live stream just a little. And before I forget, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. Go to this video right here. It's either here or here, wherever I put it on the screen. Go to that video. It's 2 or 3 days old. It has instructions so that you can enter to win an OUPES 1800. Right? OUPES is promoting their winter sale, which they have a lot of great deals. So if you are in the market for an OUPES solar generator, go check out the site. It's in the description of the video, and I'll leave it on a pinned comment. And all you have to do is enter, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't cost you a penny. So go to this video, check out the instructions, enter right there. It's not going to take you a long time to do so, and who knows, maybe you'll get lucky. Survey after survey has shown that faith in all of our major institutions is dropping, and there is a growing consensus that very challenging times are ahead of us. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think challenging times are ahead of us, or that they are already here? And here they say that in 2024, we are going to be facing here in the United States the most chaotic competition, all right, season in our entire history. Multiple wars are erupting all over the planet. Economic problems are rapidly growing. Destructive natural disasters are becoming more frequent. Global authorities are warning us to brace ourselves for the next health crisis. That is scary when they're telling us to brace ourselves for the next health crisis, when health crises of this type right here, cyclically speaking, only occur about every 100 years. And if we've already gone through the one that's a 100-year cycle, then what are they talking about, ladies and gentlemen? Do they know something that we don't know? And our cities are being absolutely overwhelmed by endless waves of new people who have come up through our porous borders in an unlawful manner. And that's not my opinion. That is a fact. So get over it if that triggered you. The stage is set for a societal implosion of epic proportions, and many Americans are feverishly preparing for a coming collapse that they believe is inevitable. The only thing that I would pray for, ladies and gentlemen, is that after the collapse that we can pick up the ashes and start over again as a republic. How do you prepare for the fall of society? Well, ladies and gentlemen, do you eat? Absolutely, you have to eat. If not, you wouldn't live, right? So put away food. Put away those foods that you normally eat on a regular basis, but just put them away for 2, 3 months, 12 months, right? Do you drink water? Well, make sure that you have some water stored away. And in case you run out of that stored water during a crisis, make sure that you have a water filtration system or a water filter that will clean dirty water and allow you and your family to drink and cook with it. Do you have medical needs? If you do, make sure that you stock up on those supplies that allow you to continue to live. And also stock up on some Band-Aids, some alcohol, some hydrogen peroxide in case you get a little scrape. Ladies and gentlemen, preparing is doing the same thing you're doing now, but doing it for an extended period of time. And if you stayed for this one, you are going to be very happy, ladies and gentlemen, because this portion of this video right here pretty much makes the entire thing. Wait till you see this. Watch. You are the problem, right? This gentleman right here says to the WEF, you are the problem. I'm not going to go on a rant, I promise. Conservative speaker slams Davos globalists to their faces, and that's what needs to happen. These people need to be called out to their faces, especially on a platform where they can't be shut down. I'm not going to read through any of this article. I'll let you come back and revisit it if you would like. I'm just going to play this 4.5 minute clip. All right, it's from X, and it comes directly from the WEF. Just listen to this. It's going to be music to your ears, especially if you like freedom.
What does he mean by retribution? What is the issue, calling out very specifically a former Attorney General and former Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and so on? I mean, it sounds very personal. And you said yourself a minute ago, anyone who's kind of not with the program is not going to be in an administration. You know, one thing that Davos, you might say, and the people come here stand up for, is liberal democracy. So if the idea that's going to be swept under the table is part of the idea, hopefully that's not what he means. What do you mean? What do you think he means by retribution?
Well, it's laughable that you would, or anyone would, describe Davos as protecting liberal democracy. It's equally,
standing up for it.
It's equally laughable to use the word dictatorship at Davos and aim that at President Trump. In fact, I think that's absurd. But I'm going to step aside from that constructive criticism and instead answer your question.
Yep.
And I'm going to be substantive here. President Trump, if he's the next president, for that matter, I think whoever the next conservative president, is going to take on the power of the elites, which I mentioned earlier. But the thing that I want to drive home here, the very reason that I'm here at Davos, is to explain to many people in this room and who are watching, with all due respect, nothing personal, but that you're part of the problem. Political elites tell the average people on 3 or 4 or 5 issues that the reality is X, when in fact reality is Y. Take immigration. Elites tell us that open borders and even illegal immigration are okay. The average person tells us in the United States that both rob them of the American way of life. They're right. President Trump will take that on behalf of the average American. Elites also tell us that public safety isn't a problem in big American cities. Just travel to New York or Washington or Dallas, Texas. The average person will tell you that the lack of public safety damages not just the American way of life, but their life. President Trump will take that on. Thirdly, I guess the favorite at the World Economic Forum is climate change. Elites tell us that we have this existential crisis with so-called climate change, so much so that climate alarmism is probably the greatest cause for mental health crisis in the world. The solutions, the average person know, based on climate change, are far worse and more harmful and cost more human lives, especially in Europe during the time that you need heating, than do the problem and the problems themselves. Fourth, 2 more here, Robin. The fourth, China. The #1 adversary, not just to the United States, but to free people on planet Earth. Not only do we at Davos not say that, we give the Chinese Communist Party a platform. Count on President Trump ending that nonsense. I think President Trump, if in fact he wins a second term, is going to be inspired by the wise words of Javier Milei, who said that he was in power not to guide sheep, but to awaken lions.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what speaking truth to power is. I wish this gentleman here the best, and I hope that God keeps him safe, because what he just said, it doesn't matter what color your skin is, it doesn't matter where you're from. What he just said is the truth, and some people are not going to want to accept what he said as the truth. You know why? Because he included the name of Orange Man Bad, and that's just too bad that we're still stuck on that one thing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, from now on, we're going to go through a speed round. I'm going to go through these articles very briefly. Of course, I will leave the link to all of these in a pinned comment so that you can come and revisit them if you would like. End of the world bunker listed on Zillow. So now on Zillow, we have bunkers going up for sale. Elites have spent the last decade building and or purchasing underground doomsday bunkers. Whether it's to survive the next global conflict, civil war in America, a tyrannical government that lacks down the economy because of a health crisis, out of control riots, and or possibly a solar storm that zaps the nation's power and communications grid. Bunker demands have been smoking hot, and the most recent one that we all know about, I already mentioned it, is that Mark Zuckerberg spent over $250 million, ladies and gentlemen, on a 5,000 square foot or so underground bunker that is beneath a 160 acre, I believe, estate that he purchased in Maui. Imagine what, I'm just thinking out loud here, imagine what $250 million would have done for all of those victims of the fires in Hawaii. But that's just me thinking out loud. Mark Zuckerberg, if he earned his money lawfully, he should be able to spend it however he wants. Food deserts rise in Democrat-run cities as grocers leave in droves. Why do you think that grocery stores are leaving these cities, ladies and gentlemen? Boston, for example, has been bleeding retailers in recent months. But wait until you hear what the collective's solution would be. With companies like Walgreens closing down 4 stores in the area in just a single year. Residents and officials are outraged. They should be outraged that these stores are leaving because of crime, because they have laws that say that people can just go in a store, grab whatever they want and not pay for it. They should be outraged that people are causing these stores to leave. But is that what they're really outraged about? Well, let's see. They're outraged and they're arguing that these companies, ladies and gentlemen, even though these companies are getting stolen from on a daily basis and are losing billions of dollars every month, they have a civic duty to continue to stay and service communities that are in need. Because it is the duty of the company, ladies and gentlemen, to lose money and to stay there, even though the laws do not favor them staying there. All of these policies and laws that are being written in these cities that the people think is for them, oh, someone should be allowed to steal up to $950 because if they are stealing it, they must really need it. It's not for you, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens, and it will continue to happen. Take a look at California. I believe in San Francisco, it's pretty much a boarded up city now, excuse me. It's estimated that Massachusetts retailers are losing more than $2 billion per year in criminal theft. Maybe if the community stopped robbing them on a daily basis, these companies wouldn't feel the need to shut down. And how can you say that this is not the truth? Again, ladies and gentlemen, we have to be able to take a look at some of these hard facts and say, man, we did this. And when I say we did this, I'm talking about here in this example. You did this. It's not the retailer's fault that they're leaving. They're leaving so that they can afford to stay open in locations that do not take advantage of them and do not portray crimes upon them just because someone at City Hall decided to say, hey, if you steal less than $950, you're not going to go to jail. Well, so much for global warming, ladies and gentlemen, because China is taking care of that. China's coal production hit a new record high in 2023. Any of you live in one of these Western nations that's really cracking down on fossil fuels and your fuel costs have exploded over the last couple of years? Higher power demand and efforts to boost energy security pushed China's coal production to a record high level in 2023. Chinese coal output rose by 2.9% year over year. That's actually a very big number, 2.9% year over year. Where is that girl? I forget her name, Greta something. Greta Thunberg, I think? Don't know. Where's she at protesting about China's coal plants that are opening up at very fast levels? Where's she at protesting about how China's coal production is more this year than it was last year, and it's foreseen to probably go up for the next several years? Where's she at, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it must be that her handlers don't want to mess with China. And we covered this during yesterday's live stream as well. But in a world where for the last several decades, we humanity have been stripped of our wealth in order to make the planet more green, you would think that oil consumption would be going down. But that's not the case. OPEC sees strong oil demand growth in 2025. Higher global economic growth and solid Chinese activity will lead to a strong rebound in global oil demand, which will grow by 1.8 million barrels per day in 2025. All I have to say is, where has all that money for green energy gone? That as we spend more, the more oil that we use. And isn't it supposed to be the opposite? Shouldn't they be an inverse of each other? Well, not if you're trying to steal the wealth of humanity. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's how that works. Now, I know I covered this on a previous video, but for some of you that maybe didn't see it, Orange Man Bad will never allow CBDCs or central bank digital currencies. That's something that I can definitely stand behind. CBDCs here coming out of the president's mouth pretty much says that it is a killer of freedom, and he said he will not allow it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the question is that if he will not allow a CBDC, which in my opinion is the only thing that will be able to save this system that keeps the government in control, what's he going to replace the dollar with? Or what's he going to save the dollar with? Because the dollar needs something in order to be saved. It's on its last vestiges of the little bit of value that it has left. And it's not only China, ladies and gentlemen. In China, they encourage the people over there to buy gold. That way the country can be gold rich, not through its government, but through its people. But it's other countries too that are not necessarily communist, like India. I was talking to an economics professor from India here about a month and a half or so ago at a restaurant or a hotel that my wife and I were staying over. And she was telling me that in India, the people, not the government, the people of India collectively own close to 30,000 tons of gold. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's almost 4 times more than what our government here in the United States says that it holds. And that's the people. What they're saying here on this article is that a new demographic in India is growing up. And it's a very large part of their population. I think it's like 1/3 of their population in India. And as they're growing up with the mindset that, hey, we need to preserve our wealth in gold. What's that going to do to the supply of gold as far as supply and demand throughout the world? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to find out here in a few years. But the problem for most people is that they don't even know what gold is. They never even held gold in their hands and don't know what its purpose really is. But guess what? Central banks know what gold is. And even though they tell you, the Joe and Jane in the streets, don't buy gold, that's just a relic. It's just a dirty little rock that doesn't do anything but sit there. They're buying it up like crazy. Now, central banks around the world for the last several years have been buying gold at an incredible pace. So ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and defend yourselves. Defend your purchasing power. Defend your wealth by doing the same thing that all of these criminals are doing, because they know exactly what is coming. And that is what I would call a great devaluation. Our dollar has already been devalued greatly throughout the last several decades. But I believe that the last little bit of what's left of the dollar is going to be devalued very quickly. And that is when people will lose it. I'm not a financial advisor, but go check out ITM Trading. They educate people about gold and silver and pretty much let you make the decision on whether you want to work with them or not. But at least go check out the free education that they offer you by just giving them a call and getting a free consultation. And that link is always in the description of this video, because ITM Trading, in my opinion, are really good people. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, Interior Alaska was struck with a 5.3 magnitude earthquake. And I actually felt this one because it was not very far from where myself and Victor were having lunch at the time. The tremor, which struck at about 12:34 p.m., was reported to be a magnitude of 5.3, according to the Alaska Earthquake Center. The center said it was triggered roughly 4.5 miles underground, only about 1 mile north of the community of Saucha. And Saucha is not that far from Fairbanks. I would say probably about 40 miles or 50 miles or so, something like that, which is located along the Richardson Highway. Dozens of small aftershocks were recorded after the initial shock, with the largest being a 3.7 reported just 3 minutes after the 5.3 quake. Now, I have to say that that was the largest quake that I've experienced since I've been here, and in both cases, I never heard of any real damage that was done. Again, ladies and gentlemen, whenever I put these articles together, there is no rhyme or reason or any order that I put them in, except for the first or second one that I really want to talk about. But check this out. EVs in Chicago are no match for polar vortex. I think we've learned thus far that EVs are not the way. And it is so warm, even down in Florida, that iguanas are falling off the trees. Ladies and gentlemen, iguanas don't fall off the trees when it's nice and warm. They are a tropical creature, but they do fall off the trees when it gets too cold. As Florida faces freezing temperatures this weekend, residents should be cautious for iguanas falling from trees. Falling iguanas possible this weekend in southwest Florida as the coldest air of the season moves in Sunday morning. They're reporting here from this news outlet. Incredible. Even the iguanas are trying to tell us, ladies and gentlemen, this has all been a fox, right? Get your heads out of the sand. Having said that, I've made this video so long, but I am going to put chapters on it, and I hope that you appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen, or get something out of it. Thank you very much for all of your support, and have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I am out.